I never believed in fate. My life as a corporate lawyer in New York City had been built on logic, strategy, and control. Success meant long hours, endless work, and little time for sentimentality. But life has a peculiar way of disrupting the predictable, and my story began to unravel with a single phone call on a chilly April morning. "Your grandmother has passed away," said a voice with a thick Italian accent. "She left you a villa in Tuscany." A villa in Tuscany. I almost laughed at the absurdity of it. I didn't know my grandmother. She was nothing more than a vague figure in the shadows of my family history. But now, she had somehow managed to disrupt my perfectly curated life from beyond the grave. What would you do if a stranger told you your life was tied to a legacy you never knew existed? Would you embrace it or turn away? A clash of worlds. The villa was breathtakingly beautiful, but it wasn't the idyllic escape I'd imagined. It was a crumbling relic, with ivy creeping along the walls, and the air thick with memories I didn't want to uncover. And then there was Alessandro. He greeted me with an infuriating blend of arrogance and charm. Ruggedly handsome, with a kind of confidence that comes from knowing exactly who he was. Alessandro made it clear from the start that he didn't approve of me or my plans. "You can't sell this place," he declared, as if he had any right to tell me what to do. "It's my villa. I'll do what's necessary," I shot back, matching his fire. But Alessandro wasn't just stubborn. He was relentless, as I called real estate agents and drafted plans to sell. He countered by rallying the locals, painting vivid pictures of the villa's history, and accusing me of destroying something irreplaceable. "Why does it matter to you?" I snapped to during one particularly heated argument. "Because it's not just a house," he said, his voice rising with passion. "It's a part of this land, of your family. You can't just erase that." His words hit me harder than I wanted to admit. Why did he care so much? And why was I starting to care, too? What makes a place or a person worth fighting for? Letters of the past. Alessandro had a way of finding things I wished he wouldn't. One evening, he brought me a dusty box he'd uncovered in one of the villa's many forgotten corners. Inside were letters, written in delicate, looping handwriting. They spoke of a love affair that defied convention, a romance between my grandmother and a man society deemed unsuitable. As Alessandro read the letters aloud, his voice soft and reverent, I felt something stir deep within me. This wasn't just a story. It was a part of me, a piece of my history that I had never known. "Do you ever wonder who she was? What she wanted?" Alessandro asked, his eyes searching mine. The question lingered in the air. How much of our identity is shaped by the stories of those who came before us? Are we destined to carry their legacies, or are we free to forge our own? The turning point. Not long after, Alessandro invited me to a local artist gathering. I refused at first, dismissing it as a waste of time. But something in his persistent smile, and the way he described the event, a celebration of art, music, and life under the Tuscan stars, wore me down. The night was nothing short of enchanting. Candles flickered in the warm evening breeze, and the soft strumming of a guitar filled the air. Alessandro painted, his brush capturing the essence of the villa as if it were alive. "You see these cracks?" he said, pointing to the villa's crumbling walls in his painting. "They're not flaws, they're the story. Beauty isn't about perfection. It's about resilience." I watched him in silence, feeling the weight of his words. "What does strength mean to you? Is it the ability to control, or the courage to let go?" The storm, just when I began to think I could find a way to balance my past and future, a fierce storm tore through Tuscany. The wind howled like a feral beast, and rain lashed against the villa's fragile walls. In the chaos, part of the roof collapsed. I panicked, frozen in fear as the storm raged around us. But Alessandro didn't hesitate. He threw himself into the wreckage, rescuing family heirlooms and fragile pieces of history as if they were treasures. When the storm passed, the villa was damaged but still standing. Alessandro, soaked and exhausted, turned to me with a grim smile. "This is what love looks like," he said simply. "Would you risk everything to protect what you love? And if you would, how do you know it's worth it?" Finding myself. The storm marked a turning point. I spent days combing through my grandmother's letters, piecing together her life and the choices she made. The more I learned, the more I began to see her in myself, and to see how I had been running from everything she had embraced. One evening, as Alessandro and I stood on the balcony overlooking the vineyard, I asked him, "Why do you care so much? Why fight so hard for this place and for me?" His answer was simple yet profound. "Because I believe in you, even when you don't. And because this place, this story, it's worth saving. You are worth saving." What does it mean for someone to believe in you when you don't believe in yourself? The final choice. The pressure to sell the villa reached its peak. A real estate company offered an obscene amount of money, promising to turn it into a luxury resort. New York was calling, and all I had to do was sign on the dotted line. But as I stood in the villa's garden, the sun setting over the rolling hills, I realized the truth. This place wasn't just a relic of the past, it was a part of me. I turned to Alessandro, my voice steady. "I'm staying." His smile was radiant, filled with hope and something more. "What would you choose? The comfort of the familiar, or the uncertainty of a new path filled with meaning?" Epilogue. Life in Tuscany isn't perfect. It's messy, unpredictable, and full of surprises. But it's real. As I sit under the olive tree my grandmother planted, I finally understand what she must have felt all those years ago. Love isn't about perfection. It's about connection, resilience, and the courage to embrace the imperfections that make us who we are. What would it take for you to find your true self? Could you leave behind everything you thought you wanted to discover what truly matters?